What was that first experience like of doing your first prep leading into your first competition?
It sucked. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't ready. I thought I had the physique and I had the lines and the muscle, but I didn't have the full mindset of what it would actually be like. There were times where I wasn't honest, and there were times where I didn't quite do the work that was needed, and it reflected. It completely reflected.
When did you do your second show, and what was the difference, your approach on that?
That was, I feel like that was peak me. I don't think that I'll get a better prep than that one. And then fast forward to the end of the show, I come in second overall. When I took that loss at the Unbroken, it was just such a stab for me.
When you won your pro card at this last one, what was the difference in a little bit with that prep specifically that you feel like put you over the top?
I just knew I just had to do what I needed to do, execute how I've been taught, how I've been practicing, and my physique will do most of the talking. So I've already put in the work, so the work is already done.
But I could see you were super relieved, excited.
It was more like a sigh of relief because at the moment, me and I'm gonna get real personal with this.
What's going on, everyone? In today's episode, Zach and I are excited to be joined by Caleb Forbes. He's an incredible natural bodybuilder who recently won his OCB Pro card in men's physique. Zach and Caleb actually recently competed together at the Gains and Glory competition where they battled it out on stage. In our conversation, Caleb shares all about his natural bodybuilding journey, stemming all the way from the beginning when he first started lifting weights until now, after having won his pro card and as he's setting his sights on his next set of significant bodybuilding goals. He also shares all about the challenges he's faced along the way, which I think you're going to find a lot of relatability and inspiration from. I know you're going to absolutely love this episode, so without further ado, let's dive into it. All right, we're live. So Caleb, this is the first time that you and I have met. However, Zach and yourself have previously connected.
Yeah, man.
How did you two initially connect for the first time?
So March 22nd, we were in Wilmington, North Carolina at the Gains and Glory OCB Natural Pro event or natural event for competing in men's physique bodybuilding. So naturally, I mean, we saw each other. We were kind of like, all right, we're kind of eyeing each other out. But then got to the overalls and then we competed. We're like, we knew we'd see each other there for sure. I think I was eyeing his class. I was like, yeah, I think he got it. He's coming out the overall. So I already eventually knew I was going to have to meet him on the stage for sure, man. For sure. Cool guy. Great guy.
I love it. Zach, what were you thinking when you first saw Caleb backstage?
Dude, same thing. So honestly, I was glad I was not in your class. When I saw your class, I was like, oh my gosh, those guys are monsters. And then I felt a little bit after my first class was debut and then novice, and it was basically the same people. And I was like, okay, I got this in the bag. But when I saw your class up there, I was like, man, every single one of those dudes looks jacked. And the funniest thing was, I think we even talked about it backstage, was after I won my class and you won yours, they're like, go back out there. I was like, what do we have to do? I don't even know what we're doing. Yeah. It was awesome though.
So you just mentioned there, Zach. So you're the first time you stepped on stage, it was with debut. So Caleb, you didn't compete in debut. Was that?
So yeah.
I'm assuming you prepped before.
Yeah. So coming into, that was my third show. Previously did one in October of last year, right? And then the previous one to that was the No Gear Classic, which just did another show for the No Gear earlier this May. So coming into that, I was already had it in my mind, had my head in the right space. So we didn't match up in debut, which would have been another daggum time to have if we matched up in debut. So thank God we got something. That would have been too much, man.
That's awesome. Well, I want to learn more about each of those preps and your different experiences with competing, but maybe, and let me know what your thoughts are on this too, Zach, but maybe we can start by getting an understanding of like how you initially got into lifting weights and fitness in general.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, when did you first start lifting weights and why did you first start lifting?
So as most young males, you have a dad and your dad's lifting weights, and then you happen to be there lifting with him, not knowing what you're doing, but you're doing it, right? So eventually, as it comes with sports and all that stuff, you get into it. So I know I'm gonna send this to my dad, so he's gonna watch this. So shout out to my dad, Caleb Forbes the third. I'm the fourth, so
Nice.
obviously I got something to pick up on. He used to be in our his room lifting weights to slow jams, man. Slow jams. So he used to have his own bench and weights and stuff like that. And I'd go in there and act like I'm all tough and start lifting weights way heavier than what I should be, injuring myself probably. But
I've been there.
that's where it all started. And he has a love for sports and weightlifting and bodybuilding, but he didn't get to do it. So this is kind of like me living on his bit of a dream. You know what I'm saying?
That's awesome. Did
It's
you, so your dad was a big part of the equation.
very
And
big.
did you find that when you first started doing the lifting that you enjoyed the act of the lifting weights itself, or was it more like, hey, like you're really just being led with your dad and eventually you found a love for it kind of the deeper you got into it?
That's a good question. A little bit of both. So for the most part, I'm a small guy. If you look at me and like in person, I'm not that big. I may look big, but I'm not that big. So I mean, I used to come from me being like really, really small and like having to find my way to be tougher and whatnot. And I couldn't do that. So eventually lifting weights kind of helped me build that frame, that physique. And people see you lifting weights and doing all that stuff, they're like, oh yeah, I don't want to mess with that guy. Which is the great part about it, because I don't want to be bothered. So it's kind of like that's something that really drives me for sure. And my dad, he was always like a tougher guy, so I had to toughen up, and he likes to lift weights, so I'm like, yeah, I got to do it too, and all that stuff, man. So
It's funny. As soon as you kind of you came on camera, you joined our conversation. I that was the exact thing I thought was, this guy has like really capped delts. He looks huge. So
bro,
you do
Yes.
look
yeah,
really
I promise
big
you,
on
it's
the
all
camera.
the facade. I'm soft.
Hey, just don't let him see his back, man. His back is ginormous. Okay.
Yeah, it's all a
Oh.
facade. It's not real. It's AI. It's completely AI, man.
So
Oh.
your dad was a big inspiration and a motivation to get into lifting, to continue lifting.
Mhm.
And in addition to that, it was something that like kind of not toughened you up, but like
Mhm.
from an external sense, like it kind of gave other people the impression that you were like, hey, I got a lot of muscle, like I look really jacked, like it's kind of the
Yeah,
impression that you're giving other
mind
people.
games, man. Mind games. Yeah.
Mind games. So those were kind of the biggest drivers for you. Was there anything else that was driving your desire to consistently lift and progress?
And I always had been athletic, but I never found my real sport. Wrestling, basketball, football, track and field, all that was never really like my perfect sport. Like when it came to lifting weights, I was good at it and I could build muscle ridiculously fast. Shout out to my metabolism. It's been holding me down for years. I'm sure it's gonna slow down on me and like later on. But I never really had my real like sport that I was good at. So this is just something that that I figured out that I can really do, and I can take this a little farther than most people and whatnot.
Yeah, that's interesting. I was gonna actually ask that because when you're talking about like athletics. So, did you have a sports background or competitive background? And then, like you just said, maybe you didn't excel at those, or maybe those didn't really click with you as much. And then you found the sport of bodybuilding, or how did you transition to specifically the sport of bodybuilding?
That's also a really good question, and this it's a little touchy subject, but I'm gonna shoot it anyway. So I recently I got out the military and whatnot, and that was a big moment for me. The reason why I don't really feel comfortable talking about it right now, but it really took my life for a turn. But before that, I had went TDY to Poland and whatnot, right? And out there with my unit and whatnot, I ran into this guy who is a Polish bodybuilder, man, and his name is Conrad, and he saw that I was in the gym. He's like, you bodybuilder? I said, no, I'm not at all. I promise you, I just kind of do it. And he's like, I can show you. Let me show you a few things. He showed me a bunch of exercises, a bunch of ways for me and how to eat right. And, you know, in Poland and overseas, it's a really big thing compared to the US, in my opinion, personally. So he had a really good passion. And I hope Conrad finds this later on. If I have him on Facebook, I'm going to send him this too, because he needs his props and appreciation for putting me on the path and getting me started on bodybuilding. But when I was overseas, that all I did for a long time was lift weights, and was in that perfect isolation where nothing else mattered but these damn weights. And it kind of got me in that mindset where I could just keep going and going and going and going. And then eventually, once I figured out how to pose, it was over. It was wraps.
Yes.
Completely wraps. And I fell in love with the sport and whatnot.
Yeah, that's awesome. And we will definitely talk more about the posing later, because that is something I took for granted and you crushed me in. I could just tell with your confidence on stage. And thank you for your service. I'm actually in the military still. So I think I saw something you posted for that. I did the Murph yesterday, so I'm super sore from it. Yeah, it's no joke.
It is no joke.
The bodybuilding prep doesn't prep you for that like CrossFit HIIT style stuff.
It's completely different game.
Yeah. So would you say that was your first, I guess, mentor, or like not necessarily a coach, but just an eye opening to the sport? And like, when was that? When did that start?
That was 2023. Really, that summer of 2023. That was when I was really just kind of just lifting just to lift right now. And then when he showed me these things is when I started to really put the pieces together and whatnot. And as far as like posing and whatnot, he didn't really coach me on the posing. He just kind of coached me on the lifting and the eating side of it, because I mean, they eat completely different than what I was eating back then and whatnot too. Like, he would bring me meals and be like, you need to eat more of this, and I'd be like, I don't even know what that is. But and it was really, really eye-opening of teaching. It wasn't like your traditional coach. He was more like he was your friend, like telling you need to do this. You know what I'm saying? Scary dude too. Very big dude. Very big dude.
Do you find that you're the kind of person that like struggles to get the calories in, or are you kind of the opposite? It's like hard to hold yourself back from eating.
It depends on where I'm at in prep. I'm not gonna lie. It really does, because I struggle to eat a lot. And when I first started this and I got back to the States and got a coach, he had me on 6 meals, and that steep change of eating was really like bothering me. And then even then passed on, I couldn't eat that much. And then later on, obviously, when you get into prep, everything is like temptation, man, like everything, man. So whenever I would see food, I would crave it. But something, my wife actually, who she actually was just watching me do this podcast, she kind of like slaps my hand every now and then and just tells me I don't need it, which I don't, but you know, the heart wants what it wants.
Yes, that it does. And I think Zach and I can both relate to that feeling when you're in the middle of prep and everything, even the things that like when you're not on prep, like just a plain chicken, rice, broccoli meal that you wouldn't think twice about. Like when you're in prep, it's like, man, I want that so bad right now.
So bad. So bad.
Interesting. By that point, how many years of lifting did you have under your belt?
Oh man, lifting's been like a all life thing, but actual like focus on actual weightlifting, that has to be like within maybe 5 years of training at that point. Because really what kicked it off, like actual weightlifting, was the military. You know how you get in the military, like they're your NCOs, and they're like, come work out with me. You're like, I don't want to go, and then all of a sudden it becomes your thing that you're drinking caffeine early in the morning. So it kind of was one of those like foster things. And I got in the military in 2020, December 12th, 29th. So from that point on, it's just been one of those things where I actually focus on actual weightlifting and whatnot.
Awesome. So when you did your first prep, you mentioned that you worked with the coach. This is the coach that had you eating 6 meals a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What was that first experience like of doing your first prep leading into your first competition?
It sucked. I'm not gonna lie. It sucked because it was just, I wasn't ready. I thought I had the physique and I have the lines and all that stuff and the lean, like the muscle and all that stuff, but I didn't have the full mindset of what it would actually be like. My coach at the time, Coach Diaz, and hopefully he catches this too. I had found him off of one of my friends who's now a drill sergeant. He was bodybuilding and he came out with his pro card, and we had similar physique. So I thought maybe this is my chance to get a shot. It was not what I thought it would be. I had hit times. I was also in the military as well. And then I was just getting to Georgia and just moving in with my wife finally after spending a year apart. So it was a lot of moving parts, and there were times where I wasn't honest, and there were times where I didn't quite do the work that was needed, and it reflected. It completely reflected, man. So like, and I wasn't really happy with myself after my first prep, but I knew I had a pretty decent ceiling. Like I could get higher if I put in that work. So that prep was probably like the reality check for me for the most part, saying like, this is like a real sport. Like I can't be just come in there and just do my thing and expect to walk out with some kind of trophy and whatnot. But I definitely wanted more out of that first show that I did, for sure.
I feel like it's the kind of thing where when you do a prep and you start feeling like that very intense like food focus or hunger, and training starts to get especially difficult at a certain point for most people, and maybe your coach is getting you to do cardio, it's like maybe sometimes people warn you ahead of time like, hey, get ready, this is going to be really tough. But I feel like until you've done it for the first time, like you don't know until you've like really experienced it for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, Zach, you can probably relate that.
I mean, it's so funny because you're saying like all the things you made mistakes and things. And I mean, Sam can tell you, I like had these non-negotiables. I told him, I was like, no, I still want to eat dinner with my wife and I still want to do these things. And I tried so hard. And finally we had like a come to Jesus in January for the show. And I was like, okay, I'm ready to fully like kind of dive in and actually follow the plan. Yeah, it's funny. You don't know until you know. Until you've done it. And I think we've all made those mistakes and kind of lied to ourselves, cheated on meals, cheated on workouts. Yeah. And I think it's funny because like I'm like you talking about that story and then seeing you come back even better and stronger is motivating for me because that was my first show. And I told Sam I was just going to do one show. I'm like, I'm just going to try this one thing. The day after the show, I was like, nope, sign me up. I am doing another show. Like, but I had no expectations. So, I mean, you said like you felt like you had a good physique and you had a friend who maybe like had the similar physique and won. Did you feel like you kind of went in it a little bit overconfident and didn't fully appreciate it? And then you're like, okay, this is more serious than I thought.
Yeah. So, man, how do I say this? It's like, I don't know. I had, when it's a little weird because I came in and I shot, like I didn't even care about like much of the prep, and I didn't realize how important that prep really was. I came in and I kind of did my own thing and varied from my coach and that's where we saw our disconnects and whatnot. And I didn't really take it seriously at the time. So I did shoot. I came out overconfident. And honestly, I look back at that show, I'm like, it's just I hope it never sees the light of day again. I'm not gonna lie. But I will say that even though I came out with the novice overall, it just wasn't my best. And I knew it wasn't my best. So I use that kind of show as a reminder of, not to be so confident. You always have, not only do you have you always have more room to really grow and whatnot. And I thought I had the best physique. I came in there. If you look at the pictures, I don't know if you guys can pull that, but I think I got pictures too. I came in there dried out, like completely dried, no water, no nothing. And I looked so sickly, man. So I did shoot overconfident, but I was I think I could have came in just a little bit better for sure. And actually listening to my coach and whatnot, it would have definitely put me over the top.
I think
something you got me pro card the first time.
Yeah. I think something you mentioned is really important for anyone doing it. It's like, yes, you're gonna have the competitors out there, and the interesting thing I'm finding out about bodybuilding is you never know who's going to show up. Right, like you could come at your best, and just someone is in there as a rock star shows up. But I think the important thing is making improvement on yourself every time and seeing that, and like you said, knowing you didn't do your best, like knowing all those things and teaching us self-improvement. It's not like a team sport where someone else dropped the ball or something. It's like, the mistakes that you made to prepare, and you know how to improve upon that. So I think that's an awesome thing. Kind of talking about that. So when was that first show? And then when did you do your second show? So and what was the difference, kind of your approach onto that? Because you said you've done 3 shows.
3 shows.
Okay, yeah.
So this is No Gear. I think it was it was May. I think it was the 17th of that year. I think it was 2024. That was my first show. Then going into October, it's a few months later, May, April, all that stuff, right? And then going to October, I had a different coach. Shout out to Coach Certified Savage Deshaun Bagby. He's a great guy, man. He's in the military. He's a captain, but he's also doing like coaching on the side. So he's been mentoring me through these next few shows and whatnot. And he told me straight up when I first signed up, he's like, yeah, man, you had like no kind of discipline or anything when it came to like posing and whatnot. And he told me straight up that shit was shitty. That shit sucked. But overall, like he, from that point on, he broke me down, but he also built me up. He took took what I did in that show and he made the proper tweaks and kept open communication with me. So I knew exactly what was going on in the meantime of what I was building and what I was breaking down and whatnot and what I was changing. By the time we got to October, which is the Unbroken, I think it's called the Unbroken OCB. That was, I feel like that was peak me, completely peak. I don't think that I'll get a better prep than that one because I feel like that's when I had my come to Jesus maturity moment and whatnot. And then fast forward to the end of the show, I come in second overall. I'm like pissed at myself because I feel like that I really put my foot in this prep and whatnot. And if I go back and look at it, I swept all of the classes leading up to overalls going against 2 6-foot guys. What can you do? There's 6 foot.
Right.
So
that's awesome though, because that's so funny. Because as you're describing that, that's exactly kind of how I feel. Because I swept my classes, and I didn't know how, I guess, good I looked or how it was like an epiphany. Like I didn't realize it. Like even like backstage, I was saying, like looking at everyone else, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm out of my league. And then I started seeing people eyeballing me a little bit. I'm like, well, maybe I have something here. But didn't even realize it. But I just look back and I just, like every little mistake I made, and I'm like, oh man, I could have done better. I made this dumb mistake. And I felt like those are easy mistakes I could have avoided to just be so much better. Which kind of, I'm really looking forward to next season because I've learned from those mistakes. But yeah.
It's almost like a good thing to have a prep where you make a decent amount of mistakes, like,
Yeah.
because I mean, sometimes you have to like make the mistake and experience it to really learn how to do it better the next time around. Like
Mhm.
this is the same thing with my first prep too, and I feel like every prep that I've done, there's been, I was going to say at least one thing, but there's usually a lot more than one
Wait, what?
thing, that one
Yeah.
mistake
Well,
then can
There's a
fix the
lot.
next time around.
I think I told you this, Sam, and I don't know, Caleb, if you agree. Like, I remember saying, like, I mean, obviously I didn't realize that I was that close, and afterwards I was very excited, but also I'm kind of glad because I felt like I wouldn't have earned it to a sense. Kind of this whole like theme of it, like if I would have won the very first show, would I have continued doing it? Would I have learned from it? Would I understand the mistakes I made, or would I have been results based oriented and not? You know what I mean? So I think it is a good lesson to learn, and then just come back again, competing with ourselves and making ourselves better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the great thing about bodybuilding. It's so personal, such a personal sport. Like you can't help but to see your own mistakes happen in real time and whatnot. And you look back at that moment like, okay, like that was really happening. Like I can make those changes today. I don't gotta wait on the team. I gotta wait on my coach. I can make that stuff like today. And when I took that loss at the Unbroken, it was just such a real stab for me, because I was like, I thought I was hot shit coming out of there. I thought I was hot shit. Then those guys were like, nah, man. Like, there's always gonna be somebody out there, man. And it gave me a good reality check, real punch in the gut for sure. For sure.
Well, it's like what you guys were talking about earlier too. Like you never know who else is going to show up as well. Like you could bring your absolute best package of all time, and there might be someone that's also bringing their absolute best package. And I mean, there's always going to be differences to each individual, genetic differences, so experience differences, skill differences, so on and so forth. So it's that's I suppose the nature of natural bodybuilding.
Yeah,
Something that sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, yeah, I agree. Natural bodybuilding is just depends on who's there the right day, the right time, man.
For both that first competition, so the first competition, the prep itself was, I think as you noted, it wasn't what you thought it was going to be. It was really tough. You finished, you still did really well. It sounds like you won the novice class, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you finished that. And then the second show, you swept your class, but came second overall.
Mm-hmm.
For both of those shows, when you finished each competition, were you immediately like, oh man, like I want to get back to it. I want to compete again. I want to like crush the next one. Or did you feel like you needed time to like breathe and recover and like having a feeling of uncertainty? Or how did you feel like when you finished each of those competitions?
So I don't like to, I hate losing. I really do. And in these situations, like I didn't realize like how bad it was that I hate losing. Like, you normally lose the game. It's like, oh, I got my team, blame my team. No, this is me. Like I lost because it was me. I'm the problem, right? So it just kind of hit a little harder. And yeah, I wanted to top like right back on stage. Like, but with doing these shows, money is a real big factor in all this stuff, right? And what I was doing at the time, PCSing, getting a house, and transitioning down to Georgia or transitioning up to North Carolina, like it was something I had to really think about. I can't just hop on that next show. I have to grow. And it kind of forces me in that mindset that there's going to be some time for rest. It needs to be a time for rest. Whether you think you can do it or not, physically or financially or mentally, at one point, it's going to have to take a break. You're going to have to stop and recollect what you learned from that show and how you could apply it to your next one. It doesn't matter how it comes. It's just you're going to have to rest regardless, in my opinion.
Those are really, really good points. It almost is like, with the necessity for recovery and thinking about like the cost of competing and that there like needs to be some time between shows, it almost like adds to the meaning of whether you win or lose. It's like it's hard to not put extra pressure on yourself because like, hey, this is my one chance, and then I gotta kind of wait at least another year because of all of these different factors.
Exactly. Exactly.
That was one of the things. I totally underestimated the cost of it. You know what I mean? I was surprised. I was like, and then Sam and I were talking about, like, I did all the different classes because why not? It was like I did all this work for it, and then it's like you got to pay for this tanning, you got to pay for the polygraph. I'm like, what are we doing? Like all this, yeah. And I'm like, this is it. And thank God I was like local, and by local I mean I drove an hour and a half the morning of, like, so I didn't have to pay for a hotel room. But yeah, I was surprised. But you said you needed the rest. And if I'm doing the math correctly, so you had a show in May,
right?
And you had a show in October, and you had a show in March. I don't know. It doesn't sound like there's a lot of time for rest and recovery. Like,
and that's what I'm talking about. Like, if honestly, if it was up to me, I would have been on stage the next day. And that's when I had to. And as I keep going in this, like, I realized that I'm going to need more and more time off. And each time, hopefully, I get more time off, and I can just cool myself until I can really sit down and assess that I'm ready for that next show and whatnot. It's a short timeline. I'm not gonna lie, for me, it's a short timeline. There's not gonna be a lot that keeps me from that stage, but money, that's gonna keep me from that stage for sure.
Speaking of that, now though, you have a little chance to win some money, right? Because of this last show. So I guess when you won your pro card at this last one, what was the difference in a little bit with that prep specifically that you feel like put you over the top? I mean, I guess we'll start there, and then I got some follow-ups for that.
Oh man. So with this one, it was like a matter of like experience. When I first stepped on stage, and now two different people, I promise, night and day in the stage. So I was completely nervous the first time, but this time I could really have my mind completely clear. And I might have been like a little nervous and whatnot, but there's no way it compares to my first show. And then not only that, but it was just a matter of how much like growth I knew I made when it came to like posing and whatnot. Because like I said, that first show posing to the second to the third, we only been up. So like at that point, like I know I'm not really it doesn't feel like I'm an amateur and whatnot at that point after 3 shows. So at that point, I just knew I just had to do what I needed to do, execute how I've been taught, how I've been practicing and whatnot. And my physique will do most of the talking and whatnot. So I've already put in the work. So the work is already done. So now I just have to execute. And it kind of takes a weight off my shoulders. Like, okay, so there's no more work to be done. All I got to do is go out there and show my ass. And and that's about as easy as it gets. And that's where coaching comes into play. When you have that good relationship, like tight connection with your coach, like this stuff starts to just come easier, a lot easier and whatnot.
Dude, that's awesome. I just remember seeing your stage presence, and I remember like afterwards just talking to my wife and my friends and stuff that came up. I was like, yeah, he is just so much more confident. His transitions, his smile, his stage presence, you know what I mean? But the cool thing is, I think, I don't know if you remember this moment. I mean, I could see your emotion when they called you for the win. I think after you won the what do we have, the novice, you won that heads up. I kind of knew you were going to win the open, like, because what's going to change, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was weird. Weird.
But the cool thing was like seeing your emotion. I don't know if you could, obviously you couldn't see it yourself, you probably felt it, but I could see you were super like relieved, excited, and it was just really cool to see that.
Man, it's a different moment because like you gotta remember 3 shows. At that point, I was about to be like, I give up. Like, it's never gonna happen. But it was more of like a sigh of relief because at the moment, me and I'm gonna get real personal with this. Me and my wife were kind of on the line about this bodybuilding stuff, and I just couldn't seem that. My first show, I did it. It was expensive. We're like, we can't really be doing that. Next show, I go out, I kick ass. Like, I'm trying to really make a name for myself, and I didn't get it again. So now I'm looking at it like this is it. Like, I gotta at least show my wife that this can be something that I could climb in and whatnot. So it was just a matter of, me showing and proving to like people that I care about that I can do this and whatnot. So I mean, there's no better motivation than your spouse for sure. She's in the dark. You guys,
she's sneaking over there.
yeah.
Well, and that's something when you mentioned that earlier, I wanted to kind of ask you about that because my wife was hesitant about it. She doesn't understand the bodybuilding. She thinks it's weird and gross and like but she had to help me shave. She's like, this is weird, right? And the tan and stuff like that. But yeah, I guess how was that? The hardest thing for me was still finding time to be present with her. When you're hungry, tired, you worked all day, you got to go to the gym, you got to come home, you're barely eating. And then for me, it's like if she still wanted to have friends over, if we had a social outing, it's like you kind of have to put those responsibilities as a husband on. And I wonder if you have any thoughts like on that and how you kind of approach that.
Yeah, I that's a great question, man. And these are some good questions. I love it. I really do, because it gets real deep and gets you to really think about it. So when it came to my wife and how we went through prep, it kind of like pushed us because been married for 4 years and whatnot, almost 4 years. Let me stop. Almost.
Yeah, be careful.
So it's kind of like it really put us to the test and whatnot. So what recently just helped us is, she's getting into the gym a lot more, which is great. I love it. What guy wouldn't, right?
It's awesome.
But it's gotten to be like she's struggling with me, and it doesn't. And there were times where she didn't eat as much because she saw that I didn't eat as much and whatnot. And then there's times where she bought Waffle House and it hit in front of me. Yeah, I can't have both, but I will have one of you. But like it does put a stressor on your relationship if you're not having open communication. I thought my communication over my prep was shitty and was completely bad, and that's why we ran into so many like bumps and hiccups when I was on prep. And when you're on prep and you're hungry, you're irritable, you're tired, like and that can flow into your spouse. So you have to be careful how you manage that energy and whatnot. But she's been nothing but the most supportive wife I've ever had. And hopefully that's the only one I have ever had.
Dude, I love, like, when you said our prep, us, like, I didn't even think about that. I viewed the bodybuilding as a very individual, and that was my burden. And Sam and I have talked about this. Like, I think having your partner, your spouse, your family, whoever you're living with and going through a prep, the communication, they need to understand, right? Like, there was a day where I told my wife, like, hey, I'm not eating whatever you're making for dinner anymore. My wife loves making dinner. I was like, I'm eating tilapia and chicken and broccoli. Like, that's it. Sorry. Yeah, and that was an adjustment, but we had this communication before we started. But that is so cool that you talked about like us and kind of going through it together. I don't think a lot of people approach it that way, but that is so key, because when you're down like that, you need that confidant, that one person who's going to help you and build you up. So that's cool.
It's like bodybuilding is like, it's considered at first glance a solo sport, but the way you guys are framing it, I think these are such great points that like it's our prep. It is kind of a team sport in a way, because the prep itself impacts everyone around you, especially the people that are closest to us, and that has a very direct impact on how the competition goes, what the experience is like, whether we win or lose, how much we enjoy it. Because I mean, if the prep goes well, then chances are we're going to enjoy the competition a little bit more itself, because we got people in our corner with us.
Right.
But those are all really important points, I think.
For sure. But overall, she's I'm not gonna lie, I put her through some hell with this last prep. But like I said, she's been there every step of the way, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I might even get her on stage. Who knows? She might even step on stage too. So we really we really took this prep and we really did it together, and honestly, that just made it so much easier for me, because now I'm not the only one struggling. Bay's not eating either. She's not eating either. If I'm not eating, she's not eating. But occasionally she'll eat the Waffle House in front of me, all-star dinner. You know how it goes, man.
Nice. So
it's a test of mental fortitude.
Yes. Yes. She's testing you to see you're gonna say something to her. Okay, then you're gonna lose that battle.
Yeah, like I step on like eggshells. I don't play on prep. Yeah. She's on prep too. Yeah, I don't play around. I can't afford it. I can't afford it.
So you talked through the journey and the struggle and the teamwork that it took and the financial burden, right? So now you got the pro card. Mm-hmm. Now I'm assuming what is Caleb's plans moving forward? We got some shows that could maybe bring in some money depending on how we do. We got more preps potentially that are coming up. What's the goals? What's the vision, the plan?
Yeah, for like you guys know, like from what I've said about like these shows, I'm ambitious. Like I'm so hungry for this right now. I know, like, I don't know if I got it, but I feel like I kind of got it. And this is the worst part of me showing, like, completely. Like, and I know I'm gonna get knocked on my ass. I just know it. But I gotta shoot for the big one, the big Yorton Cup. And I really do. Yeah. Yes. I want on the smoke. I want on the smoke. I met some of the guys that's competed in Yorton and seen some of them in person. I'm not gonna say that it's like night and day, but there is a difference, complete difference. And I know what I'm getting into, but I just can't help but feel kind of motivated. And, you know, I am in the back of my head. What if I whoop their ass? Like, and this is no shots at all, but like, what if I come in and I actually pop shit and really do my thing? So it's kind of like, you know, I really gotta not only do I have to motivate myself, but I also got to come in a little humble as well too. But yeah, the Yorton Cup, I've already talked about it with my wife. Like it's a decent amount away. I think we're like 18 weeks left for sure. So it's not a lot of time, but it's a decent amount of time for me to grow just a little bit more and then get straight back down to it. So me and my coach talked about it too. We're pretty confident with our relationship. He doesn't feel like he has to monitor me as much, and sometimes, you know, I might miss a check-in or two, or 3 or 4. But like he knows that I don't really play around with my meals and whatnot. I've got a system, and it's working. It's working. So I think the Yorton Cup will be the next one, and I just want to get my ass kicked so I know what I need to do. Like we said. Go back, look at the film, study film, come back better. Like, I think that's what it's going to be. If I do come out with hardware, I'd be surprised. Very surprised. Completely surprised. But, I mean, it's part of the journey. You never know what you're going to get. You never know who's going to show up. You never know who's not going to show up. Yeah. Praying a few of them don't show up.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
There's only one way to find out.
There's only exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. So and that's the Yorton Cup 2025 we're talking here too. So you're going bam right into it pretty much.
Right into it, man. And I'm scared as shit. I'm so scared. But like it's the 25 and it's in Charlotte and I'm in Fayetteville. So like it kind of just works out and the funds will be looking right by then and I have some money to move around and whatnot. And then kind of put a pause on the house and whatnot. So it might be my next move for real, like a real nice move for me, for sure.
Dude, that is awesome. So it's so funny because I just moved from Charlotte. I was there from 2020 to 2024, and didn't know anything about bodybuilding. Wasn't even like tracking it really. Wasn't thinking about it. Then did this, and then I was like, the OCB, like the Super Bowl of the OCB is in Charlotte, and I didn't know this the whole time, right? I was like, but it's funny you say that because your journey you're on right now, that's gonna be me in 2026. Sam and I have talked about that. I'm doing the same Wilmington show next year, and I'm gonna win it. And then if I don't win it, I'm gonna do show because I want to do the Yorton Cup as well in 2026. So that's awesome. That's
I'm rocking with that because. Honestly, man, it was so crazy, man. I think they were really rocking with what you had going on in the Gains of Glory, man. Like I promise you, I think they were gonna because I had to send them my photo and to get on the flyer and whatnot. They got my photo.
I know. I saw that. I was like, Carrie, that could have been me.
I was like, so man, that lineup and overall. And I think they were gonna. I was hoping they would put our photos of us dapping up on the flyer too.
Yes.
Oh man, that would have been.
They made the
great.
post about that, which I thought was really cool, though.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was cool.
I love the Games of Glory, how they do their media, man. They're real genuine people and whatnot. And then obviously the OCB is the OCB. They post everybody. So
yes.
Amazing.
So that's awesome. Sam.
So you've done 3 competitions at this point. The last one, that's where you won your pro card.
mm-hmm.
Next up, Yorton Cup 2025, about 18 weeks away. So the drive is still there.
Mm-hmm.
Can you articulate, what do you feel? So I know that you've got this drive to win.
Right.
What do you feel you like the most about natural bodybuilding?
Oh man, it's a good question. So I mean, like I said before, I have a smaller frame. I don't have a lot of a frame to really work with and whatnot. So like, I mean, I might be at my peak. I don't know yet. We'll see how it is later down the years. But it's just the idea of natural like genetics and whatnot. Genetics, almost genetics versus genetics. And no matter how much work you put in, depends on what physique you get at the end of the prep and whatnot. And it's so interesting to go up against these people with either they're tall with like a slimmer physique, or they're shorter with a huge physique, like a huge back and everything. So it just makes it so interesting because you never know like what physique somebody's going to bring and whatnot. Like we said earlier, it's just so interesting. Like you go to see Olympia, IFBB, those guys in physique almost look the same. And I don't know if it's just me, but like they look the same. They might have like the small tweaks in like their delts and stuff like that, or their midsection might be forming a little differently. But like the higher you get up, the more these guys look the same to me. And so coming from like in a natural federation, I just find it more unique. I find it so interesting to see what these people kind of packages these people bring when they apply that kind of work. And then like it's hard for me to say everybody has the same genetics. You know what I'm saying? Like
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So like everybody has something completely different
Yeah.
about them. Whether they're the same height. One person might have more capped shoulders. The other person might not have as much shoulders, but they have lower lat or something like that. It's just so unique and so dynamic. You never know. You really never know.
I think that is such a cool perspective. I haven't heard anyone else with that specific perspective before. And like in the natural bodybuilding world, that there's almost more diversity, like genetic diversity.
Exactly.
I mean, there's tons of genetic diversity too with the enhanced guys, but I totally know what you're saying about there kind of being more apparent diversity on stage with the natural guys, and I think that's a really cool perspective. And it's interesting too, because a lot of people, at least from my experience, I don't know what your guys' experiences with this are, but a lot of natural bodies builders complain, or I don't know if complain is the right word, but will note that, almost use it as a cop-out, all the genetic diversity, like it's unfair almost. Like if someone's got better genetics to me, then it's not fair, right? But you know, if you think about any other sport, it's like that. So like it's not just bodybuilding or natural bodybuilding. Like if you think about the NFL or the NBA, it's like, I mean, there's a pretty big genetic component to the NBA, right? Like most of those guys are, you need to be like at least 7 feet tall, 6'10", or at least most of those guys they have a certain height average. So it's like there's a pretty big genetic component to that too. Same thing with football linebackers being like big, stocky, huge, powerful dudes. There's a big genetic component, and there still is with definitely with natural bodybuilding. Same thing, of course there is. And I think that's a really cool way of looking at it. That perspective of, well, I'm going to bring the best I possibly can for my genetics, and there's going to be a lot of diversity on stage, and it's just going to be really cool to see how I stack up against this big genetic pool. I think that's just a really cool outlook on the whole thing. I've got another follow-up question, actually. Since you've been doing this, and I think if I'm doing the math correctly, you've been lifting for like 7, 8 years. Is that right?
Yeah, it's roughly around there. Because I mean, I started lifting for a while, so
Okay.
It's kind of like it's kind of like what I focused on at the time and whatnot. And then as you move on, like the back end of my training has been just solely weightlifting, and that's it.
Got it. I'm wondering, this is one of my favorite questions to ask, especially natural bodybuilders, but what has it been that's kept you wanting to stay on the natural path, considering so many
Mm,
lifters who have been sticking
yeah.
with lifting weights for so long, they get to a certain point and they think, well, hey, I've accomplished all of my newbie gains or all of my natural gains or most of them, so now it's time to go down the other path.
Mhm.
What would you say is the reason that you've stuck with the natural route?
Oh man, that's a great question. And there's so much fuss around like natural status and unnatural status. Like I could really care less about those kind of talks. But at the same time, it's just a matter of like I'm always seeing like a difference, an improvement or a tweak that I made that's taken my physique to a different part, like a different level and whatnot. And it's the fact that I still keep growing. If I were to stop growing and be stuck in plateau for like a long time, I'm talking about not a regular plateau, I mean like a long plateau, then I can see sparking curiosity of doing that stuff and whatnot. But I haven't. I've keep growing and I keep making changes. Like this year, my delts have taken like a really big step, and as far as me swapping just a few workouts, just 2 workouts that I swapped in, which is obviously delt flies, spam those, love those, and then swap to a cable movement, more like a pull down. But I saw it on the Instagram reel, so I tried it, started spamming it, and then I started to change. So it's kind of like I don't feel like that I would need to do that if my physique is still changing and still growing, and I can still see myself making progress. I don't want to ruin it. You know what I'm saying? And just and when I take gear, I end up like blowing up and getting big, but then I would never know my natural limit.
Mm-hmm.
Like eventually, like we will stop growing, and that's just the natural of being like an actual bodybuilder. But you never know until like you actually reach that limit. So I want to hit that limit. I want to hit as high as I possibly can before I even think about doing that stuff and whatnot. Because I'm not saying that it's like bad or anything, but there are drawbacks to not cycling right and all this stuff, not eating right and not probably like drinking water or so like I don't want to go there and just kind of really mess up my natural look until I know my natural look is done, because I do have goals and aspirations to get even higher and in talks of like Olympia, which is way far down the timeline.
Nice.
But I do want to put my foot in the water at least a little bit when I get up there. So, I mean, for right now, as long as I keep growing, I don't see any kind of appeal for me to do gear and whatnot.
That's awesome. I think that's really refreshing for a lot of people to hear too. Someone
Yeah.
like yourself that's a veteran competitor at this point, got their pro card, been lifting
Crazy.
for a long time, and still feels and is genuinely seeing improvements in the gym and in the mirror aesthetically. You're still seeing positive changes to your physique.
Right.
I think that's a misconception a lot of people have, is eventually like it'll just completely slow down or stop at some point. But you've been at it for a good chunk of time and it's still happening. Do you have a go ahead, Zach?
I was gonna say, just like you said, you notice a one change of an exercise, one different technique, and it just clicks, right? So I think that's a lot of times people get stagnant and doing one thing the one way, don't listen to their coach, don't try something different, and all of a sudden you can see those gains or that progress. So
Yeah,
because your delts are popping,
yeah,
so
man.
it's working.
These things, man. It's been like days and nights where I can't even sleep because my delts are small. So
Yeah,
it's been
nothing
bugging me, man. It's been
keeps
really
you up at night.
yeah. Oh man, I gotta go in my garage and spamming my radio flies on my bench and whatnot, man. It's just anything because it's not fun to have small delts for me. Not fun.
Do you have like a favorite competitor, like a favorite kind of an aesthetic, a favorite physique
Dang.
that you found inspiration from, or that you just really like? Or do you have like a list of them?
Oh man, I'm really big on Corey Morris. Coach put me on to Corey Morris not too long ago, and I've been watching him and watching his old stuff as well too. And I see a lot of similarities in our physique, but obviously he has the crazy physique. He was called the Delt King. Back to rear delts, I promise you, it keeps me up at night. So I've been watching his videos. He's probably like my favorite competitor at the Olympia, and he's like, and right before I went pro at the Gains of Glory, I had texted him because I was just like maybe just text him one time. I texted him and he was like, and I said, hey, about to step on the show. Any kind of, I just asked a random question. I said, can I do what can I do backstage to get like a really good pump and whatnot? He was like, at this point, the work is done. Like if you you shouldn't, don't try to stress yourself out and all that stuff. He gave me a bunch of advice, and like I might even send this to him too. I'm so excited to send this to people.
That's awesome.
So he gave me a little bit of advice about it, and he's been really the goal and whatnot, and that's just been really attainable. I know it's attainable, and I know it's going to take some time, but it's also really measurable. Like I can really like put it together piece by piece. I don't have to be there in a rush, but I know it can still become a thing. So he's been really like what I've been looking forward to as to being a better bodybuilder, to be more like him in a way. I think he's my best role model on this. And then my coach IFBB Pro, he's the GOAT. I gotta give it to him. He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT.
That's awesome. That must have been so cool with the messaging that you did backstage, and he messaged you back, and like that. I can just imagine that must have been a cool feeling, a little bump to the confidence, giving you some extra peace of mind before you step on stage. That must have been pretty awesome.
It was like I didn't think he was gonna respond. I was 100% sure. I was like, I'm just talking to just a random robot or whoever's on the other side of that phone, and sure enough, he responded. And then when I went pro, I took a picture of the sash. I was like, I did it with a thumbs up. He's like, I knew you could. So I mean,
that's awesome.
That kind of stuff just makes you like motivates you, man. It really does. Really does.
Yeah. It's cool when like some of the best competitors out there, or the best people at their the people that are most skilled at their crafts a lot of the time are like just like really nice and like open to sharing. Like they just want to help other people. That's amazing.
I think that's one of the things that's overrated, or people don't understand it, how I guess friendly, it's not intimidating, like the whole gym culture and the bodybuilding. It's like, people have this stereotype, these meatheads that are, but like they're so friendly. And that was one of the things, my first show, like everyone was super nice talking to people. And it was weird. I almost felt like I was letting my guard down at one point. Like, you know what I mean? Like, no, these are the people I'm competing against, but they're so nice. I made a lot of friends with people. We're following each other on Instagram. Like it's like a family now, and everyone, like, the cool thing about it is everyone's gone through it. They all know the suffering, and everyone's got different journeys. I was talking to some of those guys and how much weight they had to drop. I'm like, oh my goodness, I couldn't even imagine. Right. Like, So it was really cool. And I think that's the really cool thing about bodybuilding, is just bringing everyone together. They've all suffered together, and it's like a really tight knit community.
Yeah, I agree. And it is, like you said, if you suffer together, it just makes you all that much closer. It really does. I mean, we can attest for being in the military or whatnot. Like you go to the field for a long time, everybody's kind of like irritated and tired. Like eventually y'all come out there just laughing because at the end of the day, you guys suffer together. You know what I'm saying? But I was talking to those guys too. And they were telling me the exact same thing, like how much weight they lost and stuff like that. I'm like, oh geez. And then I'm thinking like I'm having fun, laughing around and whatnot. I'm like, hold on, let me lock in.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm not supposed to be talking to you. I'm supposed to be mad at you for some reason.
Yeah.
But no, we're just having fun, man, back there, and just really getting experience from all different sides. And even probably some of us made connects with other people, other coaches, or other photographers, or just friends in general and whatnot. And hoping to really continue to do that for my next time doing a show.
That's awesome. Yeah. There's nothing like having I think you just put that really well. Like you can form really strong connections with other people that have gone through the same experience of prepping, and they understand the kind of, honestly, the sacrifice and suffering you go through. So you can form some really strong bonds with other people, have a really strong community.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So question for you is, and I think we've got a partial understanding of the answer so far, but we know that you're going to compete in the Yorton Cup this year, and we want to win it. You want to win, but you also mentioned like you're thinking about even the IFBB, the Olympia stage in the future. So I guess my question is like, what are your overarching bodybuilding goals? So within the next 5 years, 10 years, or if you haven't thought that far ahead, that's totally cool. But what are your big overarching bodybuilding goals?
Oh man. So I like OCB. I really do like the OCB Federation. I feel like it's like a real big, good stepping stone into bodybuilding and whatnot. They make it easy. You know, in like most shows, it's gonna be expensive, but it was on a little bit of a cheaper side on my second to last show or second show and whatnot. So like I feel like it's a good stepping stone, and at the end of the day, like it makes it easy. But as far as like outside of OCB, want to compete IFBB, I think WMBF as well, in Olympia. But for those, I just want to place completely. If I can place, I can gauge what I need to do and whatnot. As far as like personal goals, I really want to get bigger. I don't think that I'm at like my best yet, but I feel like I can make a lot of improvements on my personal physique. Posing, that's another thing. Like it all comes with like how many times I do the reps in and whatnot. But my physique, I want to see a big change in my physique soon. And that's just me being like a personal thing for me. I want to get bigger, but I also want to, have more detail and whatnot, because, now I'm competing with pros now. Like I'm starting to see the difference. I have a friend here in Fayetteville. Shout out Lee. His name is Lee. He won the Coastal Clash of 2024. He went pro. His back is completely huge. I'm just gonna say it. Like he has more lower lat, more upper lat. He has more delts, shoulders. He got it all, man. We posed recently, and he kind of just blew me out of the water. And that's a casual like Tuesday morning at like 5:30 in the morning. So it was just like it's an eye opener for sure. And so I feel like if I get bigger and I get more detailed, I can catch up. I can compete at that point. So right now, personally, it's just to get bigger and come back way better. If I get my ass kicked at Yorton, hey, got my ass kicked. Happens, right? I want to come back better the next pro show and the next pro show, whether it is OCB or it is NPC, but I'm scared of NPC. I really am scared of those guys. I don't want to go anywhere near those guys. But I do want to make those big improvements where somebody can look at my old show and look at this more recent show and be like, big change, completely. Yeah.
I think that's an awesome way of thinking about it. Like, you have the plans, the goals, you have like the overarching, I want to get bigger. And like that last point about just, a year, 2 years from now, when you do a show and looking at your very first show, like you're going to see that considerable change. And I think that's how you keep it in perspective, because you know how it is, the daily grind. It's hard to see that difference every day. I had that problem just with the normal fat loss transformation and then building muscle. It's like, you never know how you look. And I don't know how your wife is. My wife's like, shut up. Like, you look fine. Like,
yeah. And that was a big, when I saw that post that you made about that, man, imagine, like, I could even imagine the mental fortitude that you have for that, man. That was my God. Absolute sentiment. Absolute, man.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Sam, though, is awesome guy to help me out with it all. So talking about like coaches and being, confident and stuff like that. I mean, I told you we had to come to Jesus. Maybe like we had to I don't know if it was a debrief or whatever, but it was like maybe a month before. It's like, Zach, be honest. Like, how would you grade yourself on your tracking of your food? And I was like, C, D. And he's like, I think Sam was like, what? No wonder. Yeah. So think locking that in, but it was good being able to be approachable with that. Yeah, honest.
Yeah.
So,
As far as
Sweet.
like coaching and whatnot, you guys should talk to my coach. He's pretty well versed in whatnot. He had his experiences with IFBB. He went pro there, so he has a lot of knowledge under his cap for sure.
does he do your posing as well?
Yeah, he did my
Nice.
posing for the Unbroken and the obviously the most recent one. We had now that I'm really into the sport, I'm kind of like coming up with my own transitions and I'm kind of doing my own thing. He's like, slow down. You can't let's not get too excited.
Yeah.
But he's really taking my posing to the next level. Like I could probably even show you a picture and it's night and day.
I just think it was funny. My wife was like, Zach, you look fine and everything, and he looked good, but his back destroyed you. Because like the whole time I'm trying to flare my lats. I'm like, flare your lats. I'm like, I'm doing it, right? But I can't. And then you're just like this.
Like a bird.
Yeah, and it's just like they pop out. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie. It's posing has came a long way for sure for me.
Yeah.
I mean, if I look at that last show and in that first show, like, brother, you have no idea how much
Yeah.
But
That's
man,
awesome.
those lat spreads are painful to me, man. I can't stand doing a back like lat spread. I can't stand it.
I find the back poses are the most difficult personally too, because I mean they're the poses where when you're practicing them, you can't see them in the mirror. So it's like the only way to really practice them is and to get some feedback as to what you actually look like is either you have someone watching you that you trust to give you that feedback, or you just record yourself all the time. But it's like there's that extra step to it of the recording that makes it difficult. But yeah, it makes such a difference. It's like the whole presentation, you could have like the best physique in the world, but if the posing ain't so great, then someone with a not as good of a physique could beat you.
And I think just presentation in general, I think your stage presence and confidence, your smile, your transitions, like I could tell, like, I mean, I kind of went in with no expectations, so I wasn't really like stressing it as much. But when I saw how confident you were with like your transitions, I was like, oh crap. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, this dude knows what he's doing. And I have no idea what I'm doing. So
yeah, man. 3 shows, man. Really, you do it 3 times and you kind of like at this point, if I don't got it, I don't got it. But I don't know if you remember, I posted about it when when they called us to do like a quarter turn.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was my brain completely scrambled. I didn't know what was going on. And my coach always talked about, he's like, you gotta make sure you stick these poses and be really intentional on what you do and remember your steps, because there's gonna be a time where that happened.
Yeah,
it happened. It happened, and I was just like, did that really happen to me? It was so embarrassing, but it's such a real living learning moment, man. And those transitions, we worked on those for like hours because I just couldn't catch on for some reason. It's like a mental block. Like I couldn't do it at all. But like eventually, like I figured it out. I stopped complaining. I just freaking did it, and it worked out. It's just a matter of practice at that point.
What was your
No, go ahead, Sam.
Go ahead, Zach. What was your practice structure like for posing? Would you practice? Was it like 10-15 minutes first thing in the morning? Would you like do it a couple days a week in bigger chunks? Would you do it after your training, or what kind of structure did you kind of develop over the course of these preps and competitions?
As far as like posing whatnot, I was posing whatever I could. Like honestly, like I was not good at it. So like in order to get better, I had to practice, and then I can go to the gym. I can be in the gym for hours, but I don't have hours to sit there and pose, right? I have maybe like 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. So gym is first. I definitely take whatever time I can to pose there. I'd get home from the gym. Like, well, I'm gonna just go through like a normal day. Right now, I'm doing like the morning routine. I go to the gym in the mornings, fasted workout, right? At the gym, I pose. I take my check-in photos and whatnot. Get my weight and shoot it to my coach. I spend maybe like an extra 10 minutes just posing on my own, doing classic poses. Yes, all men's physique guys do. Sorry, my dog just yelled. I don't know what's going on. Men's physique guys do classic poses. My dog is tweaking.
It's dinner time,
right?
Yeah, because I didn't feed her today yet, so I did, but that was later.
Everyone's on prep in that house, even the dog.
Yeah, everybody's hungry. Everybody is hungry. So I did every morning. I'll do a posing session, shoot my pictures to my coach, weigh myself, do maybe an extra 10 minutes, go home, get ready for the day and all that stuff, whatnot. But during the day, I'm posing whenever I see a mirror. I'm in that mirror. We could be at Ross or TJ Maxx or Marshall's. I'm in that mirror posing somewhere.
Yeah. Whatever. Any opportunity you get.
Any opportunity, because I knew I needed that much work on it. So I posed whenever I could. And that really made me really get serious about it, because I wasn't good at it. So as I kept, posing, the better I got. And then when we had calls of my coach, because I wasn't in Georgia anymore, my coach is stationed in Georgia, I would have to, we'd pose for like an hour, maybe even 2 hours, because I have to stick that move, that one transition. I got to stick it, or it's going to ruin everything. And so, like, obviously with reps, you get better. And that's just really what it boils down to. Got to practice. Gotta.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's so important.
I got more work to do now because of that. I mean, and Sam always puts it, and I think you said it, like, you put all the work in, you might as well put the art of it and showing it off. You know what I mean? That's really what I feel like I learned. It's like, just enjoy it, make it fun. Don't think it's weird. Because that's what I thought originally. I'm like, oh, this is weird. I got to do this posing, but like show it off, enjoy it, showmanship. Yeah, I like that. So awesome.
Zach, what do you think? Any other questions, thoughts?
No, I think we covered a lot of stuff. I guess maybe Caleb, if you want, maybe like any last minute things out there for anyone, and maybe kind of like a plug of where they can find you, and all that other stuff. And we really enjoyed having you on, but I guess if you have any last comments or things.
Yeah, man. And first off, I do want to thank God, man. What can I say? I mean, he's really what's been driving me through this and whatnot, not only with bodybuilding, but with my own life and whatnot, because we're always going to be chasing him at the end of the day, right? And always before it shows, I pray and whatnot, and regardless of how I feel, whether I think I'm going to do good or not, I mean, he has to be involved in everything that I do. So I do want to thank God for giving me, an opportunity to explore bodybuilding and whatnot, and giving me an opportunity to take this talent I have day to day and see if I can impact anybody else out there and whatnot. You guys can find me at on TikTok and Instagram. I think it's C2SIXX. I'm not really big on social media. I'm really trying to catch up, you guys. I really am. But it's crazy because I'm quote unquote young, and I'm really not that good with social media. But I am going to be posting content coming up soon. Really big names coming through. See if I can work with some Olympians that competed in Olympia. So I'm really excited. Got a clothing brand coming through soon. So things are moving. Just really slowly, but surely things are moving. Thank you guys for having me, though. I mean, this is my first podcast. This is definitely for me. This is the best moment of my life right now.
Yeah, when you make it to Olympia, just remember.
Oh yeah. You guys from them.
This has been awesome, man, and that was fantastic. I'm gonna make sure to leave your links below. So definitely your Instagram, in case, like you mentioned, like the clothing brand stuff coming up and whatever new things that you have coming. If anything's connected to your Instagram, I'm going to leave your Instagram below for people to check you out, to click on, to stay up to date with you if you do have new stuff coming up. But big thank you to you. This has been a ton of fun. Yeah, I've really enjoyed getting to learn about your background with fitness and how the prep's been going and what your goals and aspirations are. And yeah, I've loved it.
Go crush it in Charlotte, man.
Yeah, man. Hopefully I don't get my ass kicked too bad, but I'm definitely expecting it for sure. Well, thanks for having me, guys, and really looking forward to see where this podcast goes. I'm excited. I'm so excited.